I believe I'm right around where I left off, so I think we'll just go and continue listening at this point.
The net zero policies, which have made us the most expensive energy in the world, has meant that we're deindustrializing. We're losing jobs, we're using manufacturing jobs because no one can afford to manufacture anything. This is a deliberate policy of moving all those jobs to China and India, and destroying our economy, while at the same time we're having unlimited migration. Um, the fact is, we are under attack from every front, and it's not by accident.
No.
I always, for years when I was an MP, I always said to my staff, "There's something strange in this Parliament because all the good things that we could legislate for, which would make life better for my constituents and the country, it's very hard to get any movement on it at all. And the bad stuff seems to fly through, and I spend all my time fighting to stop things like HS2 and
I now completely wonder if we we as a society that ignores the controllers, if the controllers let opposition, yeah, I mean the tinfoil hatters would probably agree with this. I'm thinking opposition's allowed to enter the game, so it appears that there's a semi-level playing field, when in the end, not a chance. We're getting whatever the idea is, right? I don't know. Who knows? It's all for shits and giggles around here. But I mean, I think we're getting that shareholder capitalism and, robot control system. It'll look like workers at first. Because I was talking to someone, they were like talking about doing their chores. And I'm like, I'm telling you, you're going to get one of them robots. No, I would never. Yeah, till you realize all your neighbors are getting their grass cut by one, and then you're going to want your grass cut by one, a robo servant too. They don't think about it until they realize their neighbors get it. Then they're like, oh shit, I want one too. Hey, look at every fad device that's hit the market. I'm not saying they're a fad. Obviously, I don't think robots are a fad. I just think it's part of this, not to be a weirdo, but man, when the Internet of Things is finished and everything's talking to everything, we won't be needed. Or we'll just be in a rough spot.
protect the children from militant transgenderism,
Yeah, well,
leave the
there's all
European
that too.
Union. I mean, they're so hard, such a hard fight. And I think it feels like a conspiracy. And I'd said that for 15 years. Um, but then I looked at the characters supposedly running the country before I realised they weren't. And I always thought, David Cameron and George Osborne and Theresa May and Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak. And I thought these people aren't bright enough to run a conspiracy. So it's got to be cock up. But it's only when you realise that they're only the puppets of those who are running the conspiracy that it all dropped into place for me. And that was a sort of quite a moment of realization that was the explanation. And it's same with Labour. I did predict when they got in that it would be the shortest political honeymoon in history. And it doesn't really matter from which party gets into power now and which prime minister from that party, and he can replace the prime minister and have another one. They're all under the same orders, and they'll all be equally unpopular very, very quickly.
Mm.
Um,
It's not the way out, Andrew, because I think, politically, this isn't the way, is it? Because, like you say, there's a uniparty going on. They're all sort of bought,
well, I'm,
and
I'm I'm hoping that perhaps Rupert Lowe might and I'm hoping that a lot of parties like the Heritage Party, the Homeland Party,
Just so we can get farther into it and then wait till subject change. But yeah, I mean, to reiterate, if they've got their entire system figured out, they being, let's say, globalists, for lack of a better term, the Klaus Schwab shareholder capitalism set, corporations, technocratic overlords, and technology monitoring and control system being the inevitable future. Nobody's gonna change that. I mean, there isn't. Is there a global plan that goes contradictory to that plan, or does everyone sort of fit under the umbrella of that plan and all lend to its existence being manifested? Now, if we could stop hating on some of the information the Freemasons had and realize that we could manifest a new reality around us, but it won't be an idea or people. Well, it'll be ideas. It'll be completely different thinking. Because we're not, person's not coming to save anybody. The people who make the decisions have more money than us. And we think that shit's real. That gives them power. Of course, we didn't want our kids to work hard either. That probably screwed us. Then we gave up rights for privileges. That probably hurt us too. Yeah, I don't think people can vote their way out of the hole they're in.
Party, the Alliance of Freedom and Democracy, maybe even UKIP, would all form into an alliance with Rupert, bring their collective memberships and skills, and all this left and right business. That's an illusion of choice to keep the people thinking they've got some semblance of democracy when you have not. And you know, it's not about right and left. It's about right and wrong. It's about good and evil. It's about authoritarianism or freedom.
I did a video to The Sound and the Fury yesterday, and for giggles, I I asked the AI. Hold on, I had to get a drink anyways. It's weird. It doesn't come up with the same questions each time. The first time I did it, it asked one of the triggers led to what would Rollen ask the aliens, and it's literally about morality. I'm like, well, I guess if I was going to ask them anything, I'd ask them if they understood morality in regards to natural law, and then go from there. So I do think it's all tied together. And then just because we're over here, talking about what could possibly be coming. Rollen states that he distrusts NASA's statements because he has learned too much about Jack Parsons to believe anything NASA says. But I mean, really, he also makes a brief personal comment about Crowley and sex magic. Yeah, if they're all up to here in Crowleyan sex orgies with some hooded, weird, masked individual, basically hearts and mind in them, you do this for the new future. And then they're banging each other in a big sweaty pile. I think they're more involved in this guy's shit over here than they are in worldly events where people would, kind of, no, I'm not sure I'm into that. You see what I'm saying? I believe the problem lies with, not the Freemasons in general, but those who would protect the ideas, the occulted knowledge that the upper echelon uses to manipulate and control each other, which unfortunately looks like it comes down to weird orgies and sexual blackmail. I'm not the one that says that shit. That's what I hear. I hear the music industry driven on that same shit. That and baby oil.
And whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, when they come and get you for what you've posted on social media and lock you up, it won't.
I believe I've said enough. I heard this the other day. I hear if I get interesting enough, then they'll take and pull up all the files they've saved. If you're nobody, they're just letting you do, pre-thought crime. Rack up the points. My social credit score is going to be 0, and I will wipe my ass with that report.
When they come and get you for what you've posted on social media and lock you up, it won't amount for a jot of difference. And that's where this country's heading very, very quickly. But I think people are waking up. They need to wake up faster.
Yeah, because it turns out you might only get 3 views on it, but it turns out those 3 views are important. Now, those 3 people went out there and said some shit and get 3 other views. Then those 3 people, blah, blah, blah. Like a pyramid scheme for good. Where the hell are the individuals who know that that's possible? Y'all, what? Not y'all. Present company, I believe, excluded. But you go out there in the real world and they will all jump on a get rich quick scheme. Bam! Instantly pay me. Oh my God, free what? Never do we all agree on a free humanity scheme. Right? There's never an outcome like, hey, that's going to benefit us. Nah, it's a sided bullshit because then you get equally balanced sides. You just pit them against each other. Boom! Get a little population control on top of, whoever wins.
And we're really being bombarded from every side at the moment. And that shows for me that our opponents are desperate.
And to control what
quite
you
honestly,
say.
Because at least a good proportion of the public have woken up, and it is something that's probably been going on for more than decades, has been perpetrated against us. For the first time, we have a chance of stopping it. We never had a chance when we didn't know. And yes, we might not have a huge chance, but it's probably the best chance that humanity's ever had. And it's not just in this country, it's around the world.
Now, I'm just saying, hopefully we won't have to do it again, but there is enough gun nuts in this country that, they might have to liberate everybody. I don't know. Gosh. I'm sure that's why they take the population and turned it into what it is. At the same time, they might have dropped all these ideas 2 decades too soon. I don't know. I mean, I'm holding out. I have hope. I have hope, just like gentleman here.
People are waking up to what their governments, so-called governments, are doing to them at the behest of others, the most powerful people in the world. And it is an exciting time to be alive because things are happening, things are being disclosed. We are relying, for good or bad, a lot on the Trump administration, particularly in Robert Kennedy and Jay Bhattacharya, both of whom I know.
But they blew that apart for me. I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, the channel kind of is a one-trick pony when it comes to who I think the devil is, right? I mean, I think we're getting the shaft on that because they're all in on it. And the same group really wants to stay in power. So that's this side's bad. That's it. They're all bad. The only thing I disagree with is that there can't be. I struggle finding the good elite because we're just not far enough along the disclosure trail, whether it's aliens over there on the Sound and Fury or the elitist occultists that are manipulating the world to a certain end, and it's just bad people.
No, I know Jay better than Bobby Kennedy, but I have spoken with him. I believe they're good people doing the best they can. People are criticising Robert Kennedy for not immediately changing everything in the Department of Health and Human Services in America. But my analogy on that is that department is completely infiltrated by big pharma.
Yeah, so there's the thing. That's that we're going to need a different scam because one individual, it appears, they can get them propped up there personality-wise, but I mean, do they really have the power? We need order followers to follow what's right and moral for the citizens. And then, honestly, if the whole thing is driven on capitalism, well, then if you could just buy and sell people, maybe you need to shut the F up and take a back seat now. Maybe we're done listening to, hey, maybe you get to have what you want, but maybe who cares? I'm just saying, I think about this a lot. Stop putting their lifestyle choices on TV like it's something to covet. There is so many people living at a different level and would have that have admirable lifestyle choices to reflect upon. It can't be the tip top. I mean, I think we've been in decline since lifestyles of the rich and famous. But
People. There's a revolving door with Big Pharma. It's like putting a new captain of an oil tanker that's going in the wrong direction when the crew are actually in mutiny and he's locked out of the wheelhouse. Only 3 or 4 weeks ago, Jay Bhattacharya, who's now the head of the National Institute for Health, that's Anthony Fauci's old job, he gave a lecture to 300 or so of his senior managers at the NIH in America. And he merely stated the evidenced facts that the coronavirus was clearly man-made in a lab and it was shipped from America.
Oh, Rollen, bat soup and beyond. So yeah. I wouldn't argue where, who, or why. They all been doing it. And technically, what opened up my eyes to that was a horror movie iceberg. And is it People of the Sun? It's a Japanese war crime atrocity film, human experimentation. They're all in on it. Every group, every group. I will give myself this. I am now grateful to look in the mirror and go, wait. They're all in on it. There's no. Pretty sure all leadership is chaotic evil. It only serves self and does harm. I don't care what side of the border you're on. I think we need borders. But I just think all power corrupts. And then the socialist set always put someone in power. You don't know how to actually run the co-op. Because your most personality-driven mind says, oh, give them the ability. Well, wait. Then you just become control-heavy again. Can't be a free-for-all because you all club each other to death. It's a tough. What do you do? What do you do? How do you balance those who want to run everybody else's lives against those who want to do nothing? Those two extremes of the spectrum seem to be the biggest problem we deal with. No wonder people want to control others because others want to do nothing about anything.
To Wuhan and released there, and that the funding for all that research, most of it, came from the NIH itself, his department. 10% of his senior managers walked out of that lecture room on him. That's what he's up against. And he was merely stating evidence, facts. So they've got to gain control.
Remember, they shut down all those channels for telling the truth. All you had to do was read the warning on the side of the mask box, and they give you they knock you down for that, give you a strike. Because you were supposed to pretend what your betters said was true, not what's written on the box. That's why they can give you all those side effects with everything, because you believe the commercial, not the small print, even though the small print is where all the value is. The truth is in the small print. The bullshit is in the flash and the flare. Hey, my psoriasis, my psoriasis is gone. I can walk on a beach. Oh my God, it's a lifestyle video. I can go out and play in the sun because I had itchy red skin before that. And then the list of stuff that's going to do you in is so much longer than maybe you should have just dealt with your itchy red skin. I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's like, who buys into that shit? Do you put yourself on the beach with the actors? Getting a paycheck for portraying something to you that convinces you to do something against your own better judgment? It's weird how that works.
Control of the ship and get into the wheelhouse. And I think they're going to be turning it around. I am fairly confident that this year, before the end of this year, Robert Kennedy and his team will have secured their position and will be able to release a lot of information, which will be damning for Big Pharma and certainly for the childhood vaccines and the
Yep.
COVID-19 vaccines. I think they'll be suspended before the end of this year, possibly by the end of October. Um, that's what I think. And when
But isn't Donald Trump perhaps standing in the way because he's compromised, isn't he? People think
we've
he
got to
is our
give, we've got to
saviour.
give, we've got to give. Obviously, there's got to be an off ramp for Trump, who is obviously inexorably linked to warp speed. Um, but I think
I mean, the nail in the coffin, of course, was the list and the mocking of those who found. I mean, I gotta think Q is just crying in their fucking conspiracies right now. I mean, that was their whole. Honestly, I spent a couple years over there. That's where I got to learn about the Podesta art. Yeah, it was the logical progression from Pizzagate because it turns out there are so many unanswered questions there that, well, it's upsetting. Honestly, it's not even close to crazy. It's that unfortunate side that the normies are so afraid to talk about. They're going to let it get blown under the rug. It's okay. It's just another satanic panic. Human trafficking through the roof. Literally quantifiable there. But no. No. So I was done. I'm done. I don't. The whole group's a bunch of liars, and yeah, F them all. F any more funding. I thought we were just gonna dry up funding for like military shit, but no, that's good. Nah. Lockheed Martin's got to fucking keep their stock up.
that's going to happen this year. And when that
I
does,
don't like
I think that
timelines.
tsunami of truth and justice, which our mainstream media just doesn't want to, because they're completely complicit in what's been pushed upon us and the narrative. And but the fact is now, the people don't believe the narrative in this country. They have
No.
woken up enough.
AI's not gonna help any of this shit. When you have to question half the shit you see because it's a computer's interpretation of what you should know, we're going to be struggling. That is my prediction.
The narrative was so important in control of the press, because what they actually want us to do is to censor ourselves, and that self-censorship is collapsing now. And what they don't have, which is why they're becoming far more authoritarian, is they don't have a system to control exactly what we speak to each other about and what we think.
That's true. If you want to forego monetization, you can say anything you want. That is the case.
And what we post on social media. That's why it's become far more authoritarian, because they realize they're losing the narrative. Because without us policing ourselves and without us being afraid to say what we think, they have no power over us. Well, they have draconian powers, which the
That there he goes. He nailed it. So they still have. This is the thing. It's an easy answer. I'm lowbrow enough. I can't go with draconian response. They have force, so they use force to impose acts, edicts, plays, deception to take away rights given at creation. To you being born, you're just, because well, they exist. They've just been forgotten. Because, freedom's icky. We want to control everybody always.
people will
Yeah.
object to. And obviously, things like Tommy Robinson and things like um, people being locked up for social media posts.
I like Tommy
Um,
Robinson.
they
Follow
are
him for a
people
long
made
time.
an example of to try and intimidate the rest. Well, we mustn't be intimidated, because without freedom of
No, because
speech,
that's the thing. You got to remember. Now, they can use force, But if you don't realize that their control is only, I mean, I still have morality on my side. They're hard pressed to dick with me because I ain't really, what, I'm speaking my mind. You put cat boxes in the schools out here in the River Valley. Y'all got to speak your mind plenty. We could start there. It's tough to defend that one. See, that's why I use that insanity, because the normies, even if they're on the other side of the fence, they know that's effed up. That's not a good. You are not free ranging your kids and letting them just shit all up in your backyard. That's a caricature of a society that ain't really going to come true. Self-respect and dignity will finally have that thing work it out itself. Right? It's the truth. It can only go so long before it implodes. So, well,
Um, People being locked up for social media posts. Um, they are people who made an example of to try and intimidate the rest. Well, we mustn't be intimidated
yeah, okay.
because without freedom of speech, there is no freedom.
No.
No other freedom.
But unfortunately, because, we just had the 4th of July, once again, the second protects the first. And it sounds good, but if you have no way to return force, because remember that default setting, they impose their will with force. Crooked order followers doing immoral things for money. It's how they win. They can pay more mindless idiots to do their unlawful, unwillful actions, or unmoral actions. Totally willful.
Can exist unless we have freedom of expression, and we must exercise it.
So is that your advice to the people? I was going to say, what can we the people do in your opinion? Speak freely.
Tinfoil Hat Tuesday, every Tuesday. Screw numbers. Create it, put it out there, think it up, record it, and let you do what you want with it. But it's certainly not a rambling mess. Oh, sure it is. But all of it, you need to find your own rambling mess that resonates with ideas that are being popped out there. How can you take those ideas, That's why it's always, because I'm trying to find parallels or my own analogies, and then I take it to the bar and I talk to people.
To the people, I was going to say, what can we the people do in your opinion?
Talk to each other.
Speak freely. Observe what's being pushed at us as the narrative. Be a critical thinker. What we've got to do though is try and wake up some of the younger generations. They've had a full indoctrination in school. They're not teaching critical thinking. They're teaching compliance. So gently wake up as many people as you can, because the time to stand up is coming soon. And I think, as I said earlier, the future of our nation and the future of the world, the direction we'll be taking, if it's a poker game, we are all in. We were always all in. We just didn't realize it. But for the first time, the globalists are all in as well. They're going for the big one.
Yeah, so, no, that's a good analogy. I can't do better. It's now. Anybody pretending it's not right now is wrong. Right? Because it's tied to the technology. It's tied to that social control system. It's your central bank digital currencies. It's tied to a bunch of stuff that they're telling you is going to make your life better. But really, you're slipping farther and farther into the control system. Now, that's my opinion for entertainment's sake, but I'm not the only one who's entertaining people with that idea. I'm far from the only one. I'm late to the party. But the party is free to join.
On the turn of the cards, and we actually do have some cards in our hand now, on the turn of the cards over the next 6-12 months, I think the future of humanity will change.
And I agree with you. I agree with you, Andrew.
Yeah, it's bold.
I think with God's help, we're going to win.
I think so. Andrew, thank you so much. I said we'll keep it to 30 minutes. I know you're a very busy man. Just to end, what is next for you? I mean, are you out and about doing lots of talks and things?
I've got about 4 or 5 talks to do at the end of this month. Um, I'm actually hoping to get away for first holiday for 5 days. I'm going to have 3 or 4 days out of the country with a chap I've been helping his family um, pursue the midazolam and morphine situation. We've got another round of coroner's inquests next month, and I'm going to spend 3 or 4 days with him, and it's going to be good. But I'll still be posting on social media, um, and obviously I'm pursuing Matt Hancock, who's being very evasive, dragging everything out. Money's no object to Matt Hancock and his backers. They know that they're going to hold him up as a human shield for them all until I've shot through him, and then I'll be going after Sunak and Johnson and the rest of them. So they're going to hold him up until there's nothing left of him. Um, and it would appear that there's a lot of help for him within the judicial system, let's put it that way, to make it as easy as possible for him to delay, increase the costs, and try and bleed me out of funds. But we'll resist him, and
I hope you
we'll
do.
push forward for
Keep
justice.
going.
And I'm
Yeah.
just hoping that Rupert Lowe will keep going. I know they've attacked him many of the same ways that they attacked me and forced him to be an independent and be isolated in Parliament. But if you've got the people with you, you're never isolated.
Yeah. It's getting that tribe together, isn't it? Which is coming
Well, they
slowly.
always say, speak your truth, see who hangs
Yeah.
around. You've found your tribe. Well,
Except maybe the tribe will have to be based on something new, newer ideas. That's all. I hope we don't set up for the inevitable and historically accurately able to quantify civil wars. Really, we got a hearts and minds battle for the majority of humanity to realize that they are humanity and not just programmable meat sacks to be dribbled down upon by their betters. The local stuff, I don't know as much about, so I'm probably getting uppity making jokes, but it was definitely beneficial to Tinfoil Hat Tuesday. And grateful to be here finishing it up. I've saved the comments that got us here, and hopefully, I want to say today, but that ain't accurate. Hopefully, we'll get to them soon. I want to do a good. I've had some great comments from all over the place. I'd like to address them and thank the commenters for their time and effort, or inspiring me to take a higher road, which is sometimes beneficial. He's not a Freemason. He is battling the New World Order, it appears. Part 3 wrapped up. Later.